The meeting chamber of the Galactic Council was silent, a rare occurrence for an assembly so vast and filled with beings from all corners of the universe. In the center of the room, a large holographic projection of the galaxy spun lazily, its blue and purple swirls masking the complexities of the intergalactic politics that simmered beneath. But today, the silence was not from diplomatic courtesy or tense negotiations. It was the kind of silence that preceded the realization of something unsettling. "You are certain, Ambassador Calrith?" Counselor Zyla asked, her voice tinged with disbelief. A being from the Mirnari, a race known for their supreme mental powers, her tendrils of light pulsed with agitation as she waited for the answer. Calrith, the leader of the Antakar delegation, nodded slowly, his elongated silver eyes unwavering. "Yes, Counselor. We've confirmed it through multiple sources. Humans, they can see the ship." Gasps echoed through the chamber. The ship in question was a prototype, a new weapon of stealth technology unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. It could disappear from any scanner, any radar, and even slip through the deepest layers of space without detection. For centuries, only a handful of the most powerful races knew of its existence, and yet, it had become the focal point of recent conflict. Now, it was Earth, humans, who had stumbled upon its secret. How? Counselor Orin, a hulking figure from the warlike Karen species, grunted, his booming voice betraying both confusion and fury. "It should be impossible. We've made sure that no one can detect it, not even the Zothan's finest tracking systems." Calrith's voice dropped to a near whisper, and his fingers twitched nervously. "We do not know yet. Their methods are unlike anything we've ever encountered. We have learned only one thing so far. Their eyes, they see things we do not understand." A deep silence followed, and Counselor Zyla's glowing tendrils rippled in an unsettling pattern, like waves crashing against an unseen shore. "This cannot be allowed to continue. If humanity has found a way to detect the ship, they might already have it in their possession." "But how?" Counselor Orin growled. "How do we even begin to explain this anomaly?" Zyla turned to the central holographic display, her eyes scanning the data. "I want a team of specialists to investigate this human phenomenon immediately. If these primitive creatures are capable of such feats, they must be stopped before they realize the full extent of the ship's capabilities." Calrith's mind raced. The Council was right to be concerned. The ship, the Ethereal, was a game-changer. Its ability to become invisible to all but the most advanced technology made it the perfect weapon in the hands of those who could control it. And now, the humans had somehow bypassed every known safeguard, seeing what was meant to be hidden from the universe. "What if," Calrith began, his voice soft with a strange new thought, "what if their sight is not based on technology at all?" Zyla's tendrils paused mid-sway, and Orin's thick brows furrowed. "What do you mean?" Orin rumbled. "I mean," Calrith hesitated, but then his mind clicked into place. "What if the human's ability to detect the ethereal is innate? What if it's not technology or some new trick, but something in their biology?" A shudder rippled through the room. The idea was unprecedented, even dangerous. The humans, beings from a young, war-torn planet, were capable of far more than any species had given them credit for. But that wasn't what unsettled the Council. It was the implications. "You think they have evolved to see the ship?" Zyla asked, her voice a mixture of awe and fear. Calrith nodded slowly. "I believe we may have underestimated them. In all the years of galactic exploration, we've overlooked the most basic rule of all: life adapts. And perhaps humans, in their chaotic and violent nature, have developed a new form of perception, something beyond our understanding, something we've been blind to." The Council fell silent again, but this time, it wasn't out of disbelief. It was because they all knew the truth. If this were true, humanity had just unlocked a power that could shake the balance of the entire galaxy. The following week, human vessels, small, agile ships, their names barely known even among their own people, launched from the surface of Earth, heading straight into the unknown space where the ethereal had been last seen. They were armed with nothing but their sheer determination, and the one thing the Council never expected: the ability to see beyond the visible. The humans were unaware of the forces that now hunted them from the shadows. They simply knew they were following a lead. An ancient signal had been discovered in Earth's orbit, one that no one had noticed for centuries. It pulsed faintly, an electromagnetic frequency barely detectable by standard instruments. But to the humans' eyes, it was clear as day. Commander Eliza Rose, the leader of the small human task force, stared out into the expanse of space as her ship, Vanguard, cruised towards the coordinates. "Are we sure about this, Commander?" Her second-in-command, Lieutenant Mathis, asked, his voice tense. "No one else has detected anything. This could be a wild goose chase." Eliza's lips curved into a confident smile. "I know what I saw, Mathis. Trust me, we're on the right track." And with that, they ventured deeper into the unknown, unaware that the very thing they were hunting, the thing the Galactic Council had feared, was already aware of them. The invisible ship was not just a weapon. It was a harbinger of a new era. And the humans? They were destined to change the rules of the game. The ethereal materialized out of thin air, appearing before the human ships in all its dark, sleek grandeur. The moment the ship appeared, the crew's scanners went wild, but there was no time for caution. The ethereal was not just a ship. It was a test, and the humans had passed it. What happened next would shape the future of the galaxy forever. Eliza's heart raced as the ethereal shimmered into existence before them, its massive silhouette hanging in the void like a shadow given form. The ship wasn't just visible to them. It called to them, its strange presence emanating a force that was both terrifying and magnetic. The crew of the Vanguard stood at attention, eyes glued to their screens, barely believing what they were seeing. "Commander," Lieutenant Mathis whispered, his voice full of disbelief. "It's real. It's here." Eliza didn't respond immediately. She could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on her, the hum of the ship's systems almost deafening in the otherwise silent cockpit. Her mind raced with thoughts. How could they have found it? And more importantly, why had it revealed itself now? The ethereal was not supposed to be visible to any species, especially not a young, primitive one like humanity. "Prepare to make contact," Eliza said, her voice steady, though the questions swirling in her mind threatened to overwhelm her. "We've come this far. We can't turn back now." The Vanguard slowly closed the distance to the ethereal, its crew on high alert. Their scanners beeped, flashing warnings of energy readings far beyond their understanding. The ethereal, though dead silent, felt alive in a way they couldn't explain. A strange static filled the comms, like whispers from another world, and for a moment, Eliza thought she could hear a voice, an ancient, cold voice, echoing in her mind. "Human, you see us." The voice wasn't loud, but it vibrated through her bones, as though the very fabric of space was speaking directly into her consciousness. Who are you?" Eliza asked, her voice trembling despite her best efforts to remain composed. "We are the forgotten. We are the echoes of an empire that no longer remembers its purpose. We are the guardians of the old ways. And you are the ones who have awakened us." The realization hit her like a physical blow. "We're not just seeing the ship. We're seeing its legacy." "That is correct," the voice responded. "But it is not just your eyes that have seen it. It is your minds. Your species has unlocked a dormant perception, one that has been buried for eons. You are the first to reach this point, the first to understand what we are, what we have hidden from the stars." Eliza's breath caught in her throat as the magnitude of what the voice was implying began to sink in. We've tapped into something beyond our comprehension, haven't we? Something beyond technology." "Yes," came the reply. "You have awakened a power that has slumbered for millennia, a power that could reshape the galaxy. The ethereal is but a fraction of what lies within your reach, a glimpse of what you are capable of." As the voice faded, Eliza felt a strange pulse of energy course through her, an electric hum that seemed to seep into her very being. It wasn't just her mind now. It was all of humanity. The shift in perception was spreading, unlocking a collective awareness among humans that was far beyond what any race had ever achieved. They were seeing things they shouldn't, feeling connections to forces older than time itself. Back in the Galactic Council chamber, Calrith's hands trembled as he watched the developments unfold on his screens. The humans, his people, were not only seeing the invisible ship but understanding it. The ethereal wasn't just a ship. It was a relic of an ancient and powerful civilization, one that had disappeared long ago. But it wasn't just the ship that was important now. It was what humanity was becoming. "They can see us," Calrith muttered under his breath. His voice was full of awe and something darker, fear. This wasn't supposed to happen. The council shifted uncomfortably. For eons, they had kept the ethereal hidden, a tool of unimaginable power reserved for only the most advanced beings. And now, humanity, with all their reckless ingenuity and unpredictability, had cracked its code. "What do we do now?" Counselor Zyla asked, her tone more vulnerable than Calrith had ever heard it. "We must act before they realize the full extent of their power," Calrith said, his mind racing. "If they tap into the ship's full capabilities, there is no stopping them. They will reshape the galaxy and we will not be ready." But it was too late. The humans, in their desperation to understand the ethereal, had unknowingly activated another hidden layer of the ship's technology. A series of ancient holograms flickered to life within the cockpit of the Vanguard, revealing a message in a language that only a handful of humans had begun to decipher. "I am the last of the architects," the hologram began, its form translucent but full of emotion, as if the words themselves carried weight. "The ethereal is not a weapon. It is a key to the doors of the ancient empire. And you, children of Earth, are the ones destined to open them." Eliza's pulse quickened. "What doors? What empire?" The hologram's face flickered, its expression mournful. "You are the inheritors of a power older than the stars themselves. But with that power comes a great responsibility. The empire I once served fell, not because of war, but because it was betrayed by its own. Do not let history repeat itself." A sudden, violent shake ran through the ship. Alarms blared as the ethereal began to power up, its systems coming to life in a way no one could control. Energy pulses shot out, and the stars themselves seemed to bend around the ship, warping the fabric of space. "The ship is reacting to us," Mathis said, his voice a mixture of awe and panic. "It's like it's alive, like it's choosing us." Eliza's mind raced. This was no longer just about survival. This was about the fate of the galaxy, and humanity had just stumbled upon a door to a power far beyond their understanding. "We need to get out of here," Eliza said, her voice now commanding, "before it's too late." But the ethereal had other plans. The doors of the ancient empire were opening, and humanity was now at the center of a conflict that stretched back beyond the dawn of the galaxy itself. The council would soon learn that the humans had unlocked more than just a weapon. They had awakened something far greater, and much more dangerous. Eliza's hands gripped the controls of the Vanguard, her knuckles white with tension as the ship groaned under the weight of the energy surging through it. The ethereal pulsed with a strange, rhythmical hum, like the heartbeat of a giant, alien creature, and the stars around them began to distort, bending in unnatural patterns. Gravity warped. Time seemed to stretch and contract. "Commander, what's happening?" Lieutenant Mathis' voice was strained, his eyes wide with fear. The ship's internal systems were struggling to keep up with the ship's sudden escalation. Eliza didn't know how to answer him. Everything she had been taught about space travel, about the way ships functioned, had just become irrelevant. This wasn't space as they knew it. It was something other, a higher plane of existence, or perhaps a forgotten relic of an ancient era where the laws of the universe had been different. "The ethereal, it's reacting to us, to our presence," Eliza murmured, more to herself than to her crew. She glanced at the holographic interface flickering before her. The symbols flashing across the screen were nothing like anything Earth had encountered, yet her mind somehow understood them, as though her perception had been enhanced. She had unlocked the key to this knowledge, and it was as though the ship was speaking to her directly, guiding her, perhaps even choosing her. Suddenly, a new image appeared on the main screen. An expansive map of the galaxy, one that stretched beyond what any human had seen. But there were gaps, areas that were black, absent of information. The stars there didn't exist. The data was blank, lost to time. Mathis leaned over, squinting at the display. "What is that?" It's like a hidden part of the galaxy. The ethereal is showing us something, Eliza replied, her voice a whisper. Something important. It's not just a ship, it's a map of lost space. The ancient empire, it's not gone. It's out there. Suddenly, an alarm blared. The ship shook again, but this time it was different, more violent, more desperate. The ethereal was not just reacting to them. It was warning them. A low, rumbling sound came from deep within the ship, a voice booming through the comms system. You are not alone. The words chilled Eliza to the bone, the tone full of ancient menace. She looked around at the crew, their faces pale. They had all heard it. The voice wasn't just in her head. It was real. A ripple of energy surged through the ethereal, sending out shockwaves that tore through the fabric of space itself. It was as though the ship was trying to defend itself, or perhaps, more disturbingly, trying to push them away. Shut it down. Now. Eliza commanded, voice sharp and urgent. Mathis worked furiously at the control panel, his fingers flying over the keys. I can't. The systems, everything is locked. We're being pulled into something. Before Eliza could respond, the stars outside the viewport began to blur and shift, like the universe itself was twisting and folding in on itself. Then, with a violent snap, the ship lurched forward, jumping to a place beyond any known space, beyond the galaxy. They were no longer in familiar space. They were somewhere else. The ethereal was surrounded by darkness, a void that seemed to stretch on endlessly. The stars were gone, and the normal laws of space-time no longer applied. It felt like they were falling through a tear in reality itself, a thin rift that had been hidden for eons. What is this place? Mathis breathed, his voice trembling. Eliza's eyes darted to the console as new data began to flow onto the screen, unreadable yet urgent. It's not a place. It's a dimension. We've crossed into a forgotten layer of the galaxy, a hidden plane where the Empire's secrets were buried. Suddenly, the voice from earlier spoke again, but this time, it wasn't a warning. It was a command. Welcome to the threshold. The words vibrated through Eliza's mind, resonating with something deep inside her. She could feel the pull of ancient power, and for the first time, she understood what it meant to be the inheritor of such a legacy. But it also came with a crushing weight of responsibility. The threshold, Eliza murmured, her voice a mixture of awe and dread. It's a place between worlds. A place where those who were chosen went to seek the Empire's true power. A loud, mechanical sound filled the cockpit as massive metal doors began to open within the ethereal, doors that had not been visible before. Beyond them lay a chamber, vast and impossible, with holographic projections of alien civilizations, artifacts, and weapons beyond anything humanity had ever conceived. But Eliza's eyes were drawn to something else, a strange, floating object in the center of the room. It pulsed with energy, casting a pale blue glow over everything around it. It was a sphere, its surface shimmering with an energy that made her heart race. Commander, what is that? Mathis asked, his voice barely above a whisper. I think Eliza's voice faltered as the realization hit her. That's the key. The heart of the Empire. As if on cue, the voice spoke again, and this time. It was not just in their minds but in the room, as if the ship itself were alive, speaking to them through every molecule of air. The heart of the Empire is yours to command, but beware. Those who seek its power must first face the trials of the ancients. Fail, and you will be lost in the void forever. The chamber seemed to pulse with an unearthly energy, the temperature dropping sharply. Eliza's breath came in short bursts as she understood the enormity of what she was about to do. She wasn't just unlocking an ancient power. She was about to face the very trials that had once broken an empire. And the most terrifying realization of all? She wasn't sure she was ready.